Like to continue on the theme of structures and like to speak to you about columns, or as my grandpa would say, pillars. This structure up here has 13 columns that hold it up with associated 45-degree angle braces. When I think about columns or pillars, my mind goes to the book of Judges. There was a judge by the name of Samson that pillars played a big part in how God used him to judge the Philistines. But his life started out, he was from the tribe of Dan, and he was under a Nazirite vow. And this Nazirite vow basically said, you don't drink wine, you don't touch anything dead, and you don't cut your hair. So we see that in his life, he violates all three of those things. Another thing that you find in his life is that he had very little respect for his parents and also for women. And this becomes his downfall. He meets a gal, her name is Delilah, and she pesters him until she finds out the source of his strength, and that was his hair. And when she found that out, she had the Philistines come in. They cut his hair, lost his strength, and they gouged out his eyes. They bound him, and he was sentenced to a life of a grinding mill. And so as he ground on this mill, eventually his hair grew out. They had a celebration where they were celebrating the god of Dagon. These were the Philistines. And to mock the God of Israel, they brought in Samson. He asked to be positioned between two pillars while he was there. He pushed these pillars. The whole structure came down. It said that he killed more in his death than he did in his life. The Israelites were avenged. His life, although it was somewhat a sham, God was able to get him to fulfill what he intended for him. Samson, I wouldn't say would be a pillar of the community. And he definitely would not be one that would be give a good testimony for the Lord. I want to talk in our devotional this morning about upholding all things, and in Hebrews 1:3 it says, who being in the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had himself purged our sins, sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high. There is a statement that is just absolutely amazing in this devotional. It says, what you believe about Jesus is a matter of life and death. You see, Jesus does uphold all things. And if you try to go it on your own, boy, your whole world is going to collapse on you. There's just countless examples of that. And so you can be like Samson, and you can try to go it on your own, and you can think your strength is simply in your own hair or what you have, and not realize it comes from God. But at the end there, he prayed to God, and God gave him that strength. We need to understand that if we're going to have anything that is going to be upheld in this life, it's going to be from Jesus Christ. So when you look at the statement, what you believe about Jesus is a matter of life and death, I want you to consider, do you believe that he is the very God that came down in human flesh, that lived a sinless life, that put on our sin, went to the cross, and died in our place for that? Do you believe that? Are you the kind of person that is willing to now take on his life and live for him? That's called salvation. That's being born again. And I hope that you are. I hope you have forsaken everything that you might live for him. I want to encourage you, because if you haven't, then your life is not well supported. But if you're a child of God, he now becomes that pillar in your life, that strength. I mentioned pillar of community. That used to be something that was said a lot, and it pictured strength that someone had in their life. And that strength comes from the core, and it's Jesus Christ. This structure is exposed, and you can see all of the columns and what holds it up. Where we were yesterday, they'd come and they'd put the sheer paneling on. They're going to cover it all up. You won't be able to see it. But you know that there's structure in there and there's something holding it up. So it is with a child of God. People can see there's strength in there that's holding it up, and it's the Lord. I hope you have him. May God bless you.